We have a meeting tonight, right?
Come down. You. I would have done it.
Hey, now we're back live at the police commission meeting. They cleared the room a moment ago. I don't know if that caught on the live stream or not. I know it said nobody was watching at the time. The police kind of overreacted a lot, as usual.
They're not sure that they're going to bring her back in.
They're not gonna. She doesn't want to come back in, or
She doesn't. You know.
oh well, I'm on live stream, so if you maybe I should mute. Here, I'm gonna mute real quick.
He said they
Sorry for the mute. We just had some private gossip. You don't need to know who who my dates are. The Cuddle Buddy update. I'm just bullshitting right here.
Why is she here so long? Why is she here?
So, yeah, here's the camera. Do whatever you want, and then I'll just have you walk me through putting it.
Okay, and if it goes off, how do I open the phone again?
Oh, like if it ever goes off, this is you just scroll up like that.
Who are those two people?
That's my two daughters and my grandson.
Oh.
Yeah, they all live in Brooklyn. Damn them. Oh, I meant to show it to you. Anyway. So anyway, when you're ready, there's the camera.
Okay. So how big is the chip?
I don't know, and I'm never sure if I'm putting things on the chip or the external, on the camera.
Yeah, I don't know how all that works.
Yeah,
I
me
really
neither.
don't.
And so I don't know what kind of space I have, to tell you the truth. But I guess it will. Yeah, so there's a chance you might do it and it won't let me email it, right? If it filled up too much space. Or it won't let me put it on YouTube. I don't know. I wish I could tell you how much space I have. Is there a way to... Do you know how to check how much?
I don't remember how.
Device? I
don't remember how to check.
Yeah.
I know how to check on the computer.
let me see it for a second.
But I don't know how to check on the phone. Because on the computer, you plug it into your computer and then you go to. I don't know how to. I know how to do that. I don't know how to explain it. Hey, now for those of you watching the live stream, they took a break. The police commission took a break because they cleared the room because LAPD overreacted, and it's been a very emotional morning. And I think maybe some people aren't in here right now because they're overwhelmed with emotions, and there's people going through security to get back in right now. I myself am shaking from the police giving me contradictory orders. When I went in the hallway, I was ordered to come back in the room. I was ordered not to go in the room. I was ordered to go in the room. I was ordered to go not in the room. And it was terrifying trying to comply, not knowing what order to comply with. And it was very scary.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting back to order. We have quorum.
The next speaker, Chaplain Jonathan Barnes.
Before we go to the speakers,
I can't tell how much.
I'm hoping that we can continue the meeting.
Okay.
We'll give everyone their opportunity to speak. We have a number of comments remaining on the report of the Chief of Police. We have a number of regular agenda items, and of course we have general public comment. And it's our full intention to give everybody their full opportunity to be heard on the matters or on general public comment on anything related to the police department. If we're forced to shut the meeting down because of continued disruptions, then at that point we would continue on without an audience, which would be very unfortunate because I do think, along with my fellow commissioners, that it is important that these meetings be held open to the public. But if we have to take another recess, we'll be forced to continue without the public. So it's my hope that we can respect all the speakers. We will certainly respect those at the dais, and hopefully the folks we'll respect everybody at the podium, and hopefully equal respect will be given to the people at the dais as well. Okay, can you please call the next speaker, please?
Chaplain Jonathan Barnes.
Good morning,
ladies. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Chaplain Jonathan James Barnes, representative of the National Action Network. I just have several suggestions and comments in regards to what we've experienced here recently this morning, as well as over the past several months and years. In order to be a great leader, you should be a great servant to your community. Become more involved directly yourselves, because from individuals' perspectives, they just look at you as well-dressed, good-living individuals, and you have to deal with the day-to-day struggles. So I would suggest for you all to become more involved in some fashion or form. I also suggest that you become more proactive and not reactive. Let's try and prevent problems from occurring than solving problems, because as you can see here, solving problems, it just creates more problems. I would also suggest that as you deal with civilians that possibly commit a crime, deal with the officers as well, and let the public know that you're actually detaining them. They're not just being free. And then the civilian we commit a crime, we're taken into custody, and then try to be proven innocent later. Also, I would suggest is, people, the reason why they're running from law enforcement is because they're constantly hearing or seeing individuals shot and killed. I mean, I myself, I would be skeptical and nervous, even in my clergyman uniform. And also, restrain from profiling individuals. Give a person a benefit of the doubt before just seeing a person with tattoos that they are assumed as being a criminal. And also, I hear you have 57 chaplains that's associated with you. Have them get more involved with the community, and have those that were of the community be involved with the community, like myself. I mean, I was street active for 13 years of my life. I was deemed as a minister to society. Now I've been ordained as a minister to society. Individuals like myself, we have a connection because we were of that community. It's kind of hard to help someone if you don't have that understanding. Not saying you can't, but it's kind of hard for someone to assist them if they can't relate to them. And finally, I explain to people that I saw these situations occur.
Time.
Oh, he gets extra time, but
Since you made another card for general public comment, and love to give you an opportunity to continue.
Sure. Well, thank you all for allowing me to speak.
Next three speakers, Francis Jenkins, Paula Miner, Michael Novak.
Francis Jenkins, City Life newsletter publisher, activist since 1991. I want to say that for a long time, I came in here and all I gave was the vinegar. I never gave the apple juice. I remember when they did that to us after the civil unrest. They kept saying that, everybody in South Central was a gang member. That meant I was a gang member. Sure enough, I wasn't. But the media kept saying that. I remember how angry that made me feel because they're saying I'm a gang member and I'm not a gang member. They call it South Central. And South Central sounds like a compound, but South Los Angeles sounds like someplace that is part of Los Angeles. I was reminded of that, a very wise individual. And I want to come in here today and say that if I've offended any of the board, I'm sorry. Because I remember when they offended me, they called me a terrorist as an activist. Contractors called me a terrorist. I remember how that made me feel. Listen, there are no racists on this board. Racists would not be in this room with any black people. That's the one thing I know. I understand and I truly respect my colleagues. And I'm just saying this for myself. If I've offended anyone, President Johnson, Vice President Sobroff, if I've offended anyone, I'm sorry. I do understand what I heard today, and I like what I heard today, that Assistant Chief Moore gave us a detailed account on what happened. Now, that's only the cop side. We don't have the videotape side. But that's a step in the right direction in terms of transparency. He gave us a detailed account. I'm truly impressed. And I actually would account that to President Johnson and Vice President Sobroff starting that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Paula Miner.
Good morning.
Good morning. Paula Miner, Black Lives Matter. I stand with my colleagues who commented to you about the lack of transparency, the lack of accountability. I stand to request that the video be released of Jesse Romero's murder. We understand that you let out certain information, that there are certain pictures. It would seem to resolve the conflict between what the community perceives has happened and what you have told us today has happened, that you could release that video. You could follow the pattern of other cities across the United States who have begun to release video in the effort to resolve some of the conflict. And as you guys say repeatedly, particularly you, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Sobroff, your interest is building trust with the community. This would be one way to build trust. I also need to mention the names of those people who have been murdered by LAPD in the last 6 weeks. Keith Bursey, Richard Risher, Jesse Romero. We come here and we talk about de-escalation, we talk about new procedures, we talk about this, that, and the other, but again, I say, it never seems to reach the reality that we experience. So for the rest of my time, since we have so much chaos, I'm going to call for a moment of silence for these recent murder victims and their families. And my last word is, as LAPD, Mr. Soberon, Mr. Johnson say, it's just Black Lives Matter coming. You have greatly helped to unite us more with our friends in the brown community. We are united. We are against continuing to murder our people.
Warren Kovic. I'm one of 100 people from White People for Black Lives who marched on Ciclavia on Sunday, raising the name of Jesse Romero and Riddell Jones and Keith Bursey and Keisha Wilson and Ezell Ford, and thousands of people along the line of that Ciclavia joined in our chant to fire Charlie Beck. I understand from Assistant Chief Moore here that Beck is on vacay and he needs to vacate that office permanently. I was in New York for the Black Lives Matter march on New York City Hall Park, and Brad was done the next day, and I think you need to take a lesson from your partners across the continent. I want to say that the blood of Jesse Romero is on your hands.
Yes.
You finally consented to go out to meet in the community. You went to Hollenbeck, and when you were faced with the anger and the pain of the brown community, you called that meeting to a close too. And as a result, yet another killing takes place in that community, and it's your responsibility. I want to say that although I believe that the video should be released, if you're not aware of it, there was a study just recently released, a comprehensive study around the United States that showed that the use of body cams by law enforcement has increased the killings of black and brown people by 4% in the cities where that's taking place. And if you're not aware of it, you better become aware of it and change your policies fundamentally. I think it's time to abolish the Los Angeles Police Department, not just fire the chief. Community-based program of community self-defense. And I will say that there was a man up here earlier who had a sock puppet of a pig, and if all of you are acting as sock puppets for a system that is based on white supremacy and colonialism and exploitation, you need to take the puppets off and replace them with people who can deal with the community on a basis of respect.
All right, sir. Juan Riveros, Alejandro, and Ebony Faye. Mr. Rivero.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to lift up the name and memory of Jesse Romero. Jesse was a 14-year-old boy who was shot and killed last Tuesday by LAPD. We do not yet know who murdered him, but we know the ultimate culprit is white supremacy. The family has yet to see the body cam footage. Release the footage. As Jesse lay dying, the police stood over him and handcuffed him.
Gross. Disgusting.
Now either he was already dead and they didn't care about desecrating his body, or he was still alive and they didn't care about saving his life.
Right.
Like the mere rights before him, Jesse was a child to whom the police denied the luxury of childhood. And now he is dead. The media has slandered his name, calling him a gang member, even though a recent audit of the CalGang database found that there are 28 babies less than 1 year old who are classified as known gang members.
Disgusting. Disgusting setup.
Babies. 85% of all entries in the database are either black or brown. It is not a coincidence that 76% of those killed by LAPD last year were black or brown. Jesse's 15th birthday is a day from tomorrow. could have been my brother. And in that life, it could have been me. Every time me and my family cross the border, we get detained and put in the holding, or we're saved. That's as far as it usually goes. Jesse was killed for no reason, but it's not senseless. It's not coincidence that it's black and brown lives that are being taken, and it needs to stop. And I thank our leaders with Black Lives Matter for waking more and more of us up to the genocide that is happening here and everywhere else.
Okay, next speaker, Ebony Faye, followed by Jojo Smith.
What's craziest about this is nobody in this room thinks that they're a bad person. Everybody here thinks that they're doing what's absolutely best, and I get that. What we're telling you is that your view of things is not what we need. You've increased your police officers, you've increased the amount of force, you have all of these like really awesome toys, and yet the violent crime gets more violent. You're killing more of us, and none of that is stopping. So maybe you need to stop and listen. You really need to listen, and not from a perch. You just really need to listen. I will tell you, I worked in Boyle Heights for 3 years. We don't need you there. They don't need you there. You think that they do, but they don't. I grew up in the neighborhood, Lower Baldwin Hills, Baldwin Village, called the Jungle. We don't need you there. We really don't. We can really take care of our own children. We really, really can. And it's not a dare. It's nothing like against any of these people who are trying to be the best people that they know how to be. Unfortunately, the way everything is set up right now, they can't do their jobs well because the people who are the rogue actors who do things that really inflame the community are held up as exemplars of what police work should be. It's in policy to kill, so that's going to be the tool that we go to talk, not to de-escalate, not to just back off if I know I had a bad day. No, I'm going to end a life. And this board, all these people are going to say that was in policy. Go back to work. Good job. Here's an award for valor and bravery. 14-year-old. How brave is that? It's kind of like some of these fundamentalists that like pray for like these 80-year-olds like on the Supreme Court to like die. Like how much faith is it to pray for like an 80-year-old to like pass away, right? So Charlie Beck needs to go, and if y'all aren't with that, whoever's not with that needs to go too. We're doing you a courtesy. We're doing you a courtesy right now of engaging with you. But this is getting old, and it is insane. There are people here, just standing here, I'm facing more consequences than officers who have killed citizens. I got you, Matt, I got you. I'm really not meaning it for no disrespect. But right here, I'm just trying to drive this point home. The man who killed Giselle Jones, the man who killed the officers who killed Iselle Ford, are not facing what I'm facing right now at this moment. And you're prepared, even with the power that you have right now, to have all of these people with the guns remove me. But a murder, I didn't kill anybody. There is no victim here. There is no victim here.
I'm going to clear the entire now. I will clear the entire room and we will.
I will leave so that this can continue.
Why?
Thank you for your words and your courage.
Do I need to leave, Mr. Johnson, or may I sit?
No, you have to leave.
Okay. Duly noted, sir. Thank you for standing for the community.
I want to remind everybody that when we have more than 10 speakers, our rules are I can limit every speaker to 1 minute.
Right, but you didn't limit the chaplain. He went another extra minute. You decide who gets to go longer. And my name is Dr. Abdullah. My name is Dr. Abdullah.
Please stop disrupting the meeting.
Please stop picking and choosing who gets to go beyond their 2 minutes.
Right.
I've let everybody talk beyond their
you
2
did
minutes.
not.
No, you haven't.
So please stop disrupting the meeting. I've let everybody have 2 full minutes. We would have been on to the next item a long time ago if I had limited everybody to
Stop
1 minute.
killing
I
people.
did not do that.
If you'd all stop
I'm
killing
trying to
people.
give everybody their full opportunity to be heard.
You mean on
But-
to awarding
Man,
I like to have the right to
Disrupt-
be heard, you guys. Be quiet, let this man speak. I didn't come here to hear you guys keep disrupting stuff. I come here to get my point across and listen to your
Let's
point.
bring the
So
room
shut up and
back.
let these people conduct the hearing.
Let's bring
Tell me to shut
Yeah.
up.
let's bring this meeting back
You
to
should be
order.
respectful.
Be
Let's-
respectful.
okay.
You tell him to stop.
Everybody, let's please bring this meeting back to order so we can actually keep it as a public meeting. Sir, go ahead, start the clock, please.
First of all, you're
Jojo Smith, Los Angeles Community Action Network, Stop LAPD Spying. I stand here today because Black lives do matter. My kids' lives matter. My partner's life matters. Ezel Ford's life matters. But y'all sit here and y'all keep raising white supremacy. Chief Charlie Beck needs to be gone.
Right.
I'm going to quote what he said. His men's lives matter. He doesn't want to break his men's morale. But what about the family's morales? What about the mother that had to be escorted when they had 20 cops around her when all she wanted to do is say what she had to say? And I tell you, you sit here, you're sitting behind LAPD. You're supposed to be sitting behind City Seal. And sister, I hope you don't get wrapped up in their bullshit. Because your life matters in my eyes. But everything that goes on in this room is bullshit.
Thank you, JoJo. Thank you.
Hi, Toby. Wayne Spindler.
I think it's increasingly becoming more and more obvious, and you'll get used to it, Ms. Hill, about how you are here to be a shock absorber for a system that is fundamentally flawed by design.
Correct.
This is where it really meets. Across the street is the body that legislates. This is the body that enforces. Over on the other side is the body that adjudicates. And across the street from there is the body that propaganda. It's the LA Times. So we are surrounded by this structure, this whole system that is fundamentally flawed by design. I'm going to speak to the media that in February of this year, with a lot of pomp and show, the de-escalation program was unleashed, where it was going to be the new LAPD. It was going to be community policing. It was going to be foot patrol in Hollenbeck to raise community policing. And what has happened since then? 5 people have been murdered in Hollenbeck. That is the de-escalation program. Did anybody in the media question that? That what happened to the de-escalation program? Did anybody in the media question that? That since body cameras have been launched, police killings have gone up?
That's right.
Did you ask Michael Moore that he speaks about the conditions and tactics that are being created, which are very much grounded in counterinsurgency? Were you briefed about the dirt boxes? Were you briefed about stingrays? Were you briefed about high-definition cameras? Were you briefed about trap-wire technologies? Were you briefed that the LAPD is itching to get those drones off the ground? Were you briefed about the suspicious activity reporting? Were you briefed about predictive policing? Were you briefed about intelligence gathering guidelines? This is the superstructure that has been created, which is going to lead to more killing. When you look at predictive policing, suspicious activity reporting, gang injunctions, it is right to shoot and kill a young person because it gives them a license to kill. And when you look at a tradition and culture, which is shoot first, ask later, when you look at a culture and tradition that is so steeped in conspiracies, in lies, in deception, in falsifying evidence, you will have more murders on your hand. I'll end by saying, I'm leaving right now, last year, LAPD killed 21 people, the most of any PD in the country. This year, LAPD again leads the country of killing 12 people. That is what you're walking into, and we'll have more conversations about that.
That's why a 14-year-old boy is dead. That's why a child is dead today. That is why.
Followed by Ted Hayes and Mariela Sala.
don't mean nothing to me, homie. Y'all sit up here calling people awards for killing kids. I don't run like that. Right now. I've been lying to you for 3 weeks. What you got to say, Steve?
You need to hear this shit again. And again, and again, and again.
He was here last week and nobody was talking. I mean, I need to know something. Don't kill my son, bro. Do you understand that? Do you really understand that? He was right. And y'all not telling me nothing. That's not fair to me as a parent. And I'm not a bad parent. I'm a black woman with integrity. I'm an educated black woman with integrity. But I've been nothing but judge. I've been nothing but judge. Y'all don't know me from a campaign. How do you judge a person and then shut them out of the death that your officer did to my 18-year-old son? They murdered my son. Right now.
Time to look in the mirror.
Right now. Because we get to the open.
You haven't even given her a death certificate to bury your son, Steve.
She was. What do you mean you can't do that? You can't tell me stuff about her? Y'all want me to go outside report or police report? I can't go down there and get it because I can't even get a death certificate.
That's what you signed up for, Cynthia. God help you.
Ted Hayes.
Good morning.
Good morning. If there's such a thing as a tactical alert being called in a room, we had one here today. I wonder why the President did not commend his colleague, Cynthia McLean-Hill, who must have had a sense of trepidation and apprehension when she left that dais and came down here. And despite the show of force that was here, she quelled the entire situation. I would not have done that. Oh, not that I'm a coward, but I would not stand between the police, not knowing whether they want to say, oh, you reached for my gun. And what happens when someone reaches for the gun? But, Mr. President, that was an illustration of what a community member on this commission can possibly do. Immediately she gained the respect of the entire audience and the person who said, I'm not leaving. But that person did leave under the direction and the leadership of Cynthia McLean-Hill. Thank you for your valor, and there'll be valor commendation. I'm not suggesting that she gets commission for valor, but that was remarkable. I think all the officers can tell you they were grateful that that was the manner in which this situation was quelled or reduced.
That's right.
I don't know whether the person who said I'm not leaving until I get some answers ever got those answers, but at least we did not have a showdown at the OK Corral today.
Right. That's sober
So I hope that when you did do well by pointing out to Commissioner Soboroff, what he was talking about was not on the agenda. But when we do talk about that, let's not do a black-on-black crime thing. State crime is what we're concerned about at the hands of the police.
Right.
The final part of this item.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Steve Soboroff asked earlier, why are some kids slipping through the cracks? Because you're shooting them in the back. And they're dropping in our streets. And their blood is what's spilling through the cracks. Can you sit with that? I went to the street where Jesse Romero was murdered last Tuesday for being here. While we were there, a lot of community members showing up. And each one was coming with a story of how their loved ones were also murdered by police. A young black woman remembers being a child and her sister got killed by LAPD. Her uncle was shot in the back too. And she has 4 children, and one of the boys was there amongst the candles. On the same block where he lives is where a 14-year-old got killed, and I could see him processing. That could be me. And he was looking down at his cell phone, in tune with the conversation. And this bright, brilliant children we all have on gang injunctions and gang databases. He saw his mom ridiculing the lie that the youth was shooting at the police, and she kept ridiculing it and ridiculing it, rightfully so. And the child looks up and says, and then they said that the gun was fully loaded. The child can see through your lies, and they're afraid to be murdered by you. 640,000 children are in LAUSD right now. They're having these conversations, and they're afraid too. But we're much stronger than that. And this place is better as housing, where you'd have to do a lot of saging down. That Hollenbeck department should be a youth center. All of those departments should be community centers. You are more needed or wanted in the streets. This all has to stop. All of this. This whole show, this violent show needs to stop in this lifetime. And y'all gotta do your part to do that. We're doing our part. We want to see this world different. This does not need to exist. None of this. Y'all don't need to be armed like that. You don't need to be talking to people like that. You lost it.
Don't touch her. Don't touch her.
Okay, now both of you are going to have to leave the room, please.
We're gonna leave on our own terms. But I don't need.
I gotta get my stuff. Don't touch me.
We'll get your stuff.
My hands.
We'll get your stuff.
No, I will get my stuff. No, I will get my stuff. Don't touch me.
Let them get their stuff. Let them get their stuff, and they will.
Put his hand on his
I'm
gun
sure.
in the commission room.
There are no other comment cards on this item, sir. We're now on item number 4.
Let's wait a second until they leave it on page.
Matt Johnson, you're a fucking coward.
If you have a comment card, I think maybe that got lost in
What is her name?
the shuffle.
You see the games this board does. Don't get caught up in it, sister. Don't get caught up in it.
This is about the police chief.
Hers is on general comments.
Is there a microphone that we can?
Fire Charlie Beck! 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 In the name of Jesse Barrow! Fire Charlie Beck! In the name of Jesse Barrow! Fire Charlie Beck! In the name of Charlie Beck! Fire 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 Charlie Beck!
Killed without children.
Fire Charlie Beck!
My first time ever here, I had a stroke and got out of the hospital yesterday. I just buried my husband in the Vietnam War Marine. My family has always been with us.
Hi.